All right, let's jump right in. We're going to be talking about something that's really at the core of the Bible, the absolute, unmatched power of God. And we're not talking about a power that just nudges things along. We're talking about a power that creates, that commands.
We're starting right in the middle of this incredible showdown. I mean, just imagine the scene for a second. You have the most skilled, most respected experts in the entire Egyptian empire, guys who messed with supernatural forces for a living, and they are forced to admit defeat. They have to look their king in the eye and say, we've hit a wall. This is a power we can't touch. So how on earth did they get to this point?
Well, the setting is ancient Egypt. God is on a mission to deliver his people, and he's doing it through a series of powerful plagues. But Pharaoh, the guy in charge, is just digging in his heels. He thinks his power, his gods, his magicians can go toe-to-toe with the God of Israel. This isn't just a political disagreement, it's a full-blown spiritual war.
And this brings us to our first big takeaway. This story is so much more than just a history of miracles. It's about that moment, that exact point, where human skill and our best efforts are completely exposed for what they are, limited, especially when they come face to face with the limitless power of God.
So here's the play-by-play. God sends a plague of frogs. They are everywhere. And Pharaoh's magicians, using their secret arts, they manage to whip up some more frogs. They're basically just adding to the mess, but it looks like they're matching God's power. But then, God turns dust into swarms of gnats. This is the turning point. The magicians try their usual tricks and nothing. Zilch. They can't do it. They can't create life out of dust. And in that moment of complete failure, the truth just hits.
This chart just lays it out perfectly. On one side, you've got the magician's power. It's all about imitation, it's illusion, basically a cheap knockoff of the real thing. It has limits, and we just saw it runs out. But on the other side, you have God's power. This is pure creation. He brings life from literally nothing. It's infinite. It's unstoppable. Their bag of tricks was empty right where God's true power was just getting started.
Okay, so it's a fascinating story from the Bible, for sure. But it's in there for a reason, for us, today. So what's the bridge between some Egyptian magicians thousands of years ago and your life right now? Well, here it is. This is where it gets personal. We do the exact same thing the magicians did. We try to manage our own stuff, our sin, our pride, our addictions, our temper, all on our own. We've got our own tricks, don't we? A new self-help book, trying to be a good person, or just using sheer willpower. But here's the deal. Just like the magicians, our human strength always falls short. Only God has the creative, unstoppable power to truly change a human heart from the inside out.
But the story doesn't stop with the magicians admitting defeat. The spotlight actually swings over to Pharaoh and how he responds. And this is where the whole conflict moves from this big external power show to the quiet, internal battlefield of the human heart.
Now, this phrase, a hardened heart, is a huge deal in the Bible. And what's so important to get is that a hard heart isn't an ignorant one. Nope, it's a heart that has seen clear, undeniable proof of God's power and still chooses to say no. It's a heart that willfully picks pride over humility, defiance over surrender.
I mean, just think about it. Pharaoh's own trusted advisors tell him, hey, boss, this is God. The evidence is right there, but he still won't budge. It's kind of like the check engine light in your car. The first time you see it, it gets your attention. But if you just keep driving day after day, you kind of start to ignore it. The warning is still there, but you've just grown numb to it. That's a perfect picture of a hardening heart.
And this is why it matters so much for us. Just knowing the truth isn't enough. It has to lead to a humble response. When you feel that nudge from God, that conviction that you need to change something or apologize or stop, and you push it aside, you're not just kicking the can down the road. You're actually making your own heart a little less sensitive for the next time. We have to see God's warnings, not as him being angry, but as a loving invitation to get rescued from a path that's only leading to destruction.
Okay, so if we see that our own power is limited, and we see the very real danger of a hard heart, the next question is pretty obvious, right? What do we do? How do we actually respond to God's power in our day-to-day lives?
Let's make this super practical. Here are 4 steps. First, confess your sin. That means you stop trying to be your own magician. You just admit to God, I can't fix this myself. Second, depend on the Word. Real, lasting change comes from the truth in the Bible, not from some trendy self-help strategy that just scratches the surface. Third, pray for power. Actively ask for God's creative, unstoppable power to come into those exact places where you feel weakest. And finally, number 4, and this is huge, repent without delay. The second God shows you something, you act. A quick, humble response is the best way to protect your heart from getting hard.
So all of this, admitting our weakness, seeing his power, wanting to change, it all leads us to one place. It leads us to a moment of decision, to a posture of surrender. And sometimes the best way to do that is just to pray.
You know, a simple prayer like this is an incredibly powerful thing. It's admitting that God's power isn't a category all by itself and that our attempts to copy it just don't work. When we ask for a soft heart and for help to trust Him, we're basically inviting God to do the very thing we just can't do for ourselves. It shifts our whole focus off of our tiny, limited strength and onto His infinite, creative power.
At the end of the day, that's the bottom line. It's not about trying harder. It's about trusting better. The question this whole story from Exodus leaves us with is a simple one. Are we going to be like the magicians, who finally saw God's power and admitted it? Or are we going to be like Pharaoh, who saw the exact same thing but chose to harden his heart? That choice is up to us.